Amritabindoopanishad. Amritabindoopanishad. This Amritabindoopanishad belongs to the Krishna Yajurvedam. And as the tradition goes, the Shanti Patha, the prayer, is the well-known Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishāvahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the prayer traditionally chanted before study of the Amritabindoopanishad. Amritabindoopanishad is an excellent Upanishad which analyzes, which proposes for the attainment of the Amrita Bindu, experience of the Amrita, by a practice involved purely with the thought process, mind process of the mind, the thoughts, the views, the ponderings, the various ideas, the chatting in the mind, the thinking in the mind, the questions in the mind, the answers in the mind. What are all things happen within our own mind? The entire constituents of the mind. And how these constituents and the activities, actions of the mind are to be carefully guided towards a particular side and experience the Amritatva. And that is the Amritabindoopanishad. This Amritabindoopanishad has 22 mantras, and each mantra is very, very deep and highly thought-provoking and needs an elaborate understanding and an ability to interpret for our practices. Amritabindoopanishad predominantly concerned with the mind. In fact, the Upanishad opens the first mantra itself is the Mananeeya bandhamokshayoho karanam. A very commonly known phrase. Mananeeya manushyanam karanam bandhamokshanam, as we call it. Mind alone is responsible for the freedom and the bondage. Mananeeya manushyanam karanam bandhamokshanam. Manohi dvidham proktam shuddham cha ashuddhameva cha ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. Mananeeya manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayoho bandhaya vishayasaktam muktyahi nirvishayam smritam. Once for all, the Upanishad, the first mantra settles, defines, confirms beautifully that Manohi Dvidham Proktam. Mind has been described as two folds. Dvidham Proktam. Shuddham Ashuddhamevacha. Pure and impure. And what is Ashuddham? Kama Sankalpam is Ashuddham. Kama Vivarjitam is Shuddham. Manohi dvividham proktam shuddham cha ashuddhameva cha. Ashuddham kama sankalpam, shuddham kama vivarjitam. Very clear, very simple. Having a desire is ashuddham, not having a desire is shuddham. So from ashuddham to shuddham, the travel, the process, the transformation, the change, the journey, from ashuddhata to the shuddhata, from desire to the desireless state, is a very subtle process. The process is what type of desires we should have, the quality of the desires which make us desireless. In the Brahmananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad, we come across a very beautiful word repeatedly in the Ananda Mimamsa. Shrutriyasya cha akamahatasya. Shrutriyasya cha akamahatasya. Who is Shrutriya? He who is akamaha. So kamarahityam, kama vivarjitam, nishkamaha is shuddham. So pure mind means what? Pure mind is desirelessness. Desireless state of the mind. Can we, without any desires? Then the question comes, we cannot. But the goal is to be desireless, but we cannot be without the desires. Then what is the process? The process involved is have the desires which makes us desireless. Means have the desires which are not self-centered. These are all shades of travel from desire to desirelessness. These are the different levels of depth and evolution from desire to the desirelessness. So kama sankalpaha is ashuddham, kama vivarjitam is shuddham. And what is bandha? Vishaya asakti is bandha, nirvishayaktaha is muktaha. Again, Upanishad defines. Bandha means what? Asakti. Vishayasakti is bandha and nirvishayaha smritam is muktayoho. Manayeva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayoho. Bandhaya vishayasaktam muktaihi nirvishayam smritam. Beautifully defines what it is. Then mano nirodho moksha, mokshopaya it is. So moksham is, mukti is nirvishayam, vishaya rahityam. Then how to attain that vishaya rahityam, nirvishaya sthiti? For that descriptions, detailed methodology has been given. Yato nirvishayasya manaso muktirishyate ato nirvishayam nityam manaha karyam mukshuna tadeva nirodhavyam yavad gatam chayam yatta jnanam cha dhyanam cha shesho nyayascha vistaraha. Beautifully describes it. A seeker of the liberation, the mind should be constantly freed from the influence of the objects of desire. The influence created by the objects of desires. One should be free from that. For the reason that the mukti of the mind, when it is freed from the influence of the objects, that is attainment. The moment when the mind is freed from the influence of the objects and entirely controlled and reaches the state of the non-existence, that param, tat paramam padam, parasthiti, parama padasthiti, when it is attained, That is muktihi. So what is the practice suggested in the Upanishad? The practice suggested in the Amritabindoopanishad is, let not the mind be influenced by the object of desires. Let not the mind be affected, not only affected, influenced by the objects of the desires. How difficult it is, but that is the practice is to be done. Each individual, each practitioner, each seeker, each sadhaka can adopt his or her own way of how not to get influenced by the objects of desire. But it is to be done. Then the Upanishad says, Savishesha Brahmanusandhanena Nirvishesha Brahmadigamaha. Method is suggested. The attainment of the non-qualified Brahman by pondering in the qualified Brahman. Try to understand the objects. How the objects are influencing me. How the object is dragging me towards itself. What is the process of attraction? How I am getting attached to it? How I am getting attracted to it? How it is dragging me? How it is pulling me towards? What are the shades? What are the steps? What are the methods? How it is doing? What is happening within me? What is making me to go towards the object of desire? How the object of desire is pulling me, attracting me. By understanding this, by constantly observing, by constantly contemplating, by constantly analyzing, a person will be freed from the influence. This is a real practice down to the earth. That is how it is beautifully said. Savishesha Brahmanusandhena Nirvishesha Brahma Adhigamaha. It is. This method is suggested. Then the Upanishad beautifully presents Ekatmata of the Atmaha. Atmana Ekatvam. Eka Evatma Mantavyo Jagrat Sapna Shushuptishu Sthanatrayavyatitasya Punarjanma na vidyate Eka eva hi bhutatma bhute vyavastitaha Ekatha bahudha chaiva drishyate jala chandravat. What a wonderful description is given. Like varieties of pots, various types of pots, shapes of pots, volumes of pots, bigger, smaller, crooked, twisted shapes, varieties of pots are there. And in the varieties of pots, when water is put, the water takes that shape of the pot. And in that water which took the shape of the pot, the same one single moon is reflected. One single moon is reflected. Drishyate jala chandravat. Ekadha bahudha chaiva drishyate jala chandravat. One moon is reflected in all the varieties of pots, ghata. So there may be millions and millions of human beings, millions and millions of creatures. But what is reflecting in all of them is one Atman. The force responsible for me, for all of us to breathe. The same force is responsible for a tiger to breathe, for a snake to breathe, even for a small virus to be alive, even for a small insect to move. The force is same. The Shakti is same. The Atma is same. Atmana ekatvam. See how the Upanishad is presenting the methods of contemplation. Atmano janmanasha rahityam. And that Atmaha is janma nasha rahityaha it is. Means the moon which was reflecting in the water in the ghata, in the pot, if the ghata is broken and the water spreads and the reflection of moon is not seen, we should not come to the conclusion the moon has lost. Moon was disappeared. Moon did not disappear. The capacity of the moon to reflect also did not gone. What is gone is the medium of reflection has gone. Because the medium of reflection has gone, the reflecting capacity is not gone of the moon. That's why what was there before reflecting, what is there after reflecting, pre-reflection and post-reflection, and during the reflection, what was that moon is always there. This is how the Upanishad puts it. Atmaha is janma nasha rahitaha, it says. A wonderful example in imagery is presented for the understanding. That when we say that I am born, I will die, I may die, how the Atma is Avinashihi, as it was presented in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The Atman cannot be removed, cannot be moved. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kledayantyapo, nasoshayati marutaha. Not even the Panchabhutas bring any transformation in the Atman. So this is a beautiful thought given in the thought for contemplation, thought for meditation, a thought for pondering as a sadhana in the Amritabindoopanishad. Then the Upanishad gives another beautiful Niripadikatma darshanam Shabdamaya vrito naiva tamasayati pushkare bhinne tamasi chaika bhinne tamasi cha ekatvam eka evanu pashyati. That oneness is to be understood. And that oneness is to be understood, can be understood by the Shabda Brahma Dhyanena. Shabda Brahma Dhyanena Parabrahmadigamaha. The Upanishad is presenting another technique and method to ponder over and to practice. Sabdaksharam Param Brahma Tasmin Kshine Yadaksharam Tadvijnanaksharam Dhyayed Yadichechantimatmanaha Dve Vidye Veditavye tu Shabda Brahma Paranchayat Shabda Brahmani Nishnataha Param Brahmadi Gacchati. By meditating on the Sabdakshara, Shabda Brahma, that is on the Om, contemplating the Om, experiencing the vibrations of the Om, meditating, contemplating, pondering on the sound of the Om, the beginning of the sound, the end of the sound, in between the sound, the permanency of the sound, the starting of the sound, the end of the sound, from where the Om starts into where the Om ends. The beginning, the exact starting point of the Om, Shabdankuraha it is called. And from where it merges into it, the merging point and the starting point. By contemplating on that, one can transcend that itself. This is the beauty of the Granthamabhyasya medhavi jnana vijnana tatparaha Palanamavyadhanyarthi tyajet granthamasheshataha, he calls it. So you cross over and you will overcome the practices itself. So the practice is help to overcome, and you will overcome the practice itself. This is an important suggestion and a practice to be noted in the Amritabindoopanishad. Sarvabhuta pratyagatmanaha ekavatvam. The Upanishad again presents it, the oneness of the varieties, and gives a beautiful example that Gava maneka varnanam kshirasya pyeka varnat. Gavam aneka varnanam kshirasya pyeka varnata means cows, the color of the cows are different, but the milk of the cows is same. How beautiful it is. Various cows, varieties of cows, with different colors, different sizes, may be there or there, but their milk has same color. Earlier, the example given is the same moon reflecting, and here another imagery, another point of pondering over, another example for understanding, to push forward a particular point about the ekatmata is given, that the color of the milk is white. It is same, ekavarnataha, magar gavaha aneka varnat. Kshiravat pashyate jnanam linganastu gavavam yatha. Like that, in the various things, what is the common one has to be found out and understood. Vijnanaha it is called. And that satatam manasi mantha ittavyam manomanthana bhutena. Satatam manasi manthayitavyam manomanthana bhutena. This manthana has to be done. Constant churning in the mind, constant contemplation, pondering over. With these examples, one can attain the Amrita Sthiti, Amrita Bindu Sthiti. Tat Sakshatkara Sadhanam Dhyanam. For that, dhyana is important. So, Mananam Nididhyasanam is important. Dhyasanam, that is the dhyana is an important dimension. And what the Upanishad beautifully concludes, this Sakshatkara sadhanam dhyanam jnananetram samadhaya uddhared vahnivat param nishkalam nishchalam shantam tad brahmahamiti smritam sarvabhutadhivasasam yadbhuteshu cha vasatyapi sarvanugrahakatvena tadamyaham vasudevaha. What is there in all these different things, seemingly different things, the common existent power is one and the same. This understanding, understanding this understanding is the crux of the Amritabindoopanishad. That I am, and what is there in others, what is in me and what is in others. What I am, what is in others is the same. And this method of the mind is this thinking of the mind makes it amritaha. So we have begun with Mananeeya manushyanam karanam bandhamokshanam. Then Brahmajnana, then the Brahma bhava prapti will come. Savishaya Brahma Jnanena Nirvishesha Brahma Bhav Prapti. The moon and the pots, the milk and the cows, and the Upadhi, Rupaha, Aksharam, Shabdaha, and from the Om, contemplation of the Om, chanting of the Om, and meditation on the Om, on the various dimensions of the Om, the beginning of the sound of the Om, the end of the sound of the Om. That is how the entire Upanishad presents us a beautiful technique, and that is the Amritabindoopanishad's technique. And let us see the further Upanishads. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.